Folks, Democrats continue to double down on the horrible policies that absolutely crushed them in the 2024 election. Because let's face it, they lost it all. They lost the House, the Senate, the White House, swept out of power in a red wave that even stunned most optimistic people inside of the GOP. Many people did not believe Trump was going to win the popular vote, and he did by over 1.5 million votes. And yet somehow, the Democrats, they're sitting there scratching their heads convinced it was all about mismessaging. The messaging was the issue. Their policies, those are golden and flawless and the best thing since sliced bread. Our policies are the best they've ever been. And the insane part is they genuinely believe this. They genuinely believe that the policies that they have to offer are what America wants. And they could not be more disconnected from reality. But here's where it starts to get a little bit wild. While some in the party are whispering about a potential course correction, the loudest voices, AOC, Bernie, Ilhan Omar, their crew, they're yanking the wheel of the Democrat Party that's driving that bus even further to the left. They're going hardcore left Marxism, socialism right now. And hopefully this becomes a train wreck that is worth watching. So let's start off with the dynamic duo that we have right now, the morons who are going to lead this train wreck, AOC and Bernie Sanders. And these two are the ones who have been really trying to set the tone of the Democrat Party going forward, trying to write the playbook and daring anyone to disagree with how they feel the Democrat Party should move forward. AOC has made it crystal clear. If you want a seat at the table in her party, you have to fight the Trump administration her way. Uncompromising, loud, and extremely radical. You look what happened with the funding showdown with Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats and the Senate the GOP trying to pass the spending bill. That really showed there is a big crack in the Democrat Party. A big crack. And AOC wants things done her way. It really is. And Bernie's right behind her. Really dusting off his socialist manifesto that he used to run in 2016 and 2017. Preaching about wealth distribution, how there shouldn't be billionaires in the oligarchy. Give me a break. Give me a break. If there was ever an oligarchy in America, it would come in the name of democratic socialism or it would come in the name of liberalism. And we all know that. Because for every one billionaire that supported Donald Trump in the 2024 election, there was over 2 billionaires who supported Kamala Harris. Billionaires by and far supported Kamala Harris. So don't even try and play that with me. Just don't. Because here's the reality. For my Republican friends, let it sink in. If Trump stumbles, if he F's up, if he overplays his hands, if the economy tanks, these are the people who are waiting to pounce. It's not Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. It's AOC and Bernie Sanders. These are the people waiting to pounce. Not just dreaming of a bigger government. They want to dismantle many structural foundational pieces of America as we know it. Private industry, private property that will be a relic of the past under a Bernie Sanders or AOC administration, including with that individual rights. They want to completely do away with individual rights. And they're trying to trim it down to fit their utopian mold for what the United States should look like in their eyes. And AOC, like we said, is already rallying the base with the Fight the Oligarchy event. Her and Bernie Sanders are doing rallies against the 1%. This is a full-on socialist resurgence. And here's the scary part. AOC could pull it off. She's young. She's got energy. And here's the thing. She has a much better chance of becoming a Democrat president than she does becoming a Democrat senator from New York. It's like the reality is she is playing the outsider card. She's playing exactly the card that Trump played in 2016. Positioning herself against the GOP, but also against the old guard in the DNC, the establishment Democrats. And we know she hates them and they hate her. But guess what? She has got the grassroots movement fired up. And if she runs in 2028, which I believe she's laying the groundwork for, I don't think she'd win a general election, but I think she could win the Democrat primary if the Democrat establishment does not come together and consolidate, kind of like they did in 2016 and 2020. The Democrats consolidated against Bernie Sanders. That's what they did. And that's what they're going to need to do to fend off AOC or Bernie Sanders in 2028. And the reality is they keep doubling down on these horrible policies. The one that really tanked them and is still really hurting them very badly is the transgenders in women's sports issue. Because House Democrats and Senate Democrats seem determined to die on this hill. They are pushing policies that allow biological males to compete in women's sports. And it's ridiculous. You look at what happened in Maine. You know, there was a girl who lost her shot at a state track title because of a transgender athlete. You know, you've seen similar stuff in Minnesota. It's like with a volleyball transgender male or transgender female in a female volleyball competition. And the reality is the lawsuits should be piling up against these school districts for allowing mentally ill men to play against women. That is just the reality. It is absolutely insane what is going on. And Democrats keep doubling down on it. And they're being crushed. 80% of Americans do not agree with this. This is decades of progress for women in America. And Democrats this is the hill they're going to die on, that they want it. They do not want women to maintain this progress. They want transgender mentally ill females to be able to come in and take their titles and take their dignity and their respect. You know, and that's not the only thing. They keep doubling down on their horrible policies with opposition to DOGE, their opposition to Trump's immigration policies are some of the most popular in the world right now. People are not about open borders, sanctuary city, and amnesty for tens of millions of illegal immigrants. This is the trifecta that sank them in 2024. Border crossings hit a record high under Biden. 2.5 million encounters in 2023 alone. Chicago spent $300 million to shelter migrants. And New York's mayor is begging for federal help when it comes to illegal migrants. And all they wanted to do was pass legislation to allow these illegals to get citizenship. They're framing it as being compassionate, but it's total bullshit. This policy that they are double down on is going to backfire in their face. And like we said, the last thing, opposition to DOGE. People want to slash federal waste. They want to cut the red tape and shrink the bureaucracy. Voters like it. Voters want it. Voters demand it. But Democrats are just trashing this. It's a stunt. It's a corporate giveaway. It's reckless. It is not. We're cutting the fat around the edges. We're not funneling money to all the Democrat donors who run nonprofits. It's just not happening. And on top of that, if they haven't been doubling down on the worst of the worst policies, they have no clear path forward. They have no idea what to do next. Their party is fractured beyond repair at this point. On one side, you have moderates, like the Joe Manchin-esque people, who want to reset. They want practical and pragmatic wins to win back the working class, who actually slightly represent the working class. But on the other hand, you've got radical socialist Democrats like AOC and Bernie who are screaming that it's time for the revolution. And they're all about class warfare. And that is something that could really hurt the GOP. If the GOP does not seize on this opportunity and the Democrats somehow come back into power, I have a hard time seeing the moderates being the ones who come back into power. But we'll see. But the reality is that they are doubling down. These radical Democrats are doubling down on these policies. Doubling down on it. And you have people like Gavin Newsom, who's nobody likes, trying to play this cool guy who started a podcast. Well, his state has like $50 billion in a deficit this year. So maybe work on fixing your deficit first this year. And then let's talk about a podcast. And the clear path forward for AOC clearly has been fight the oligarchy, these rallies that she's having against billionaires and capitalism. And the thing is it's not that they don't, that AOC and Bernie Sanders dislikes billionaires. They think it is immoral. They despise billionaires. They believe billionaires should not exist. They believe capitalism itself should not exist. And for that radical base, it is red meat. But for everyone else, it alienates because most people agree with capitalism. There is nothing inherently wrong with a billionaire. I'm sure there are bad billionaires and I'm sure there are good billionaires out there. There is nothing inherently wrong with someone just because they have a lot of money. But Democrats are not going to win unless they look in the mirror. It's like that they need to look in the mirror. And instead, what are they doing? They're going full socialist. There is a civil war brewing in the Democrat Party. There's no strategy and there's no end in sight. So we're going to see how that all plays out. And in a civil war, you usually have a leader. Well, not the Democrats. Because right now, the closest thing, and we're going to keep going back to AOC and Bernie, the closest thing that the Democrats have to a leader right now, and this is from an Atlas Intel poll. This is ridiculous. This is some of the most crazy stuff I have seen. Was this poll taken, I believe, a couple days ago. Outside of Barack and Michelle Obama, the Democrat with the highest favorability rating in this poll was AOC. Wow. So you're saying, think about that. The best we've got is a 35-year-old former bartender who can sometimes throw sound bites together, and an 83-year-old senator who's been yelling about socialism since, like, Richard Nixon was president. Like, that's it. This is who the Democrats have. Former bartender and communist lover Bernie Sanders. It's like, even look at Kamala Harris in this. She is a non-factor. Yes, does she have a 40% favorability rating? A lot of that has to do with name recognition at this point. She has faded into irrelevance. Chuck Schumer, he's got his own thing going with Senate Democrats. Nancy Pelosi, she's still lurking in the background, but her heydays are over. And Gavin Newsom wants it. He desperately wants to be president so bad. That guy is so desperate. You can see the desperation leaking out of his freaking eyeballs. But he has no traction outside of the West Coast. Good luck, Gavin Newsom, winning voters in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Michigan, in Nevada, where, should I point out, a lot of people who leave California go to Nevada. They go to Nevada because they don't have as radical, crazy policies as they do in California. And if this is the future of the Democrat Party, Republicans could be very well positioned. Now, Republicans, there's a lot the GOP has to do. And it's like, if the GOP doesn't do what they're supposed to do, and they don't deliver, the Democrats will win. No matter how horrible their policies are. The reality is Democrats doubling down on these policies have torched them. And now they're being led by a socialist duo with novel utopian ideas of how the world should look. These people are in denial. And we're going to see what happens. But that's going to wrap things up for today, folks. Let me know what you think about this. Drop a comment down below. Smash that subscribe button so you never miss another video from us again in the future.